right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all are having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. All right, so I think it was about a month ago that I proposed in a community post or whatever, and I asked how many people would actually watch a video, like a documentary about Bruce Lee. And a lot of you guys said just do it. So here we are. It's going to be a very long video, you guys. If you want to pause this real quick, go get a drink, get some snacks. It's going to be a doozy. So this one is titled Bruce Lee Real Life Story, full documentary, and it's on a channel, Marine Kelly. I'm going to link it down below in the description like I always do. You'll also see a list of channel members. Shout out to you guys. No need for a long intro here because, it's one of those, I'll get my opportunity to speak during each segment of this. And I'll try to keep it to stuff that I actually know about. But yeah, it didn't really happen intentionally. But listen, Bruce Lee's been a huge part of my existence since I was born. Huge influence. I would be willing to say, like, on certain levels, like a spiritual like teacher. Just through all the lessons and all the things that he's said and written throughout the days. But anyways, the whole like "be water, my friends" thing, like I think that sparked one day when I was just like, Bruce Lee's the GOAT, and like you guys blew it up in the comments, and I figured, what the hell, I might as well just embrace it, like this feels right. And now we're going full circle here, and on a basketball react channel, we're gonna talk about Bruce Lee for an entire evening. So life's funny, that's all I have to say. But all right, guys, that's all I'm gonna say in the intro. Let's get to this. Like the video, I'd appreciate it. I think this is something like official. I really hope it doesn't get blocked. I'm assuming it's gonna get a copyright strike, so shout out to members. But we'll see how this goes. I think this is official, so like something that was released on TV. It's A&E. I really hope they just claim the video and don't block it.
Who's a total lifetime dedication to his art. He could take care of business, but he had a very active sense of humor.
Okay, well, let's start there. I bet a lot of you guys didn't know Bruce Lee trained Kareem in martial arts.
He was a braggart in a way, but he never bragged about anything that he wasn't capable of.
That's the thing. He did the showboat because it was entertainment for the movies and the TV shows and whatnot. But when you actually you hear him just speak and teach, he's not that guy. But this is what he needed to do in order to get a platform to have attention so he could teach.
Everybody just loved him around the set because of his enthusiasm. And he kept it pretty interesting.
There's nobody I quite remember enjoying being a celebrity as he did.
He was the catalyst that set that whole martial arts all in motion. And it's a shame he didn't live to see the impact that he had.
He was not just a fighter. Bruce was a philosopher and a teacher.
All type of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. As an actor, as a martial artist, as a human being, all these I have learned from martial art.
I love it.
His passion and talent helped make him one of the greatest action film stars the world has ever known. He was also one of the first actors to successfully bridge the culture gap between East and West.
Absolutely. Yep. Asian hate was a crazy thing at this time. And then all of a sudden, Bruce Lee kicks that door down, and dude, there's martial arts fever going on in America for a long time. In fact, that's my father kind of introduced me to it because he was part of that demographic. Martial arts was not on, like, no one was paying attention to martial arts. And then all of a sudden, Bruce Lee comes around, and all of a sudden, my dad is like obsessed with Asian culture, Chinese culture, and ended up marrying a Chinese woman, believe it or not. And that's where I come from.
But for Bruce Lee, his personal life proved more dramatic and more intense than any movie plot. And though his style has often been imitated, the indelible mark he left behind nearly 3 decades ago has never been duplicated. On November 27, 1940, at both the hour and the year of the dragon, the child who would come to be known as Bruce Lee was born in San Francisco, California.
The dragon in the Chinese zodiac is a mythical creature. It has a fierce temper, it has tremendous power, it is quick, it is elusive, it is everything that is exotic, and that's fit Bruce Lee to a T.
His father, Li Hoi Chuan, was a well-known film and stage actor who had toured with the Cantonese Opera Company. His mother, Grace, was a traditional Chinese woman whose superstitious nature caused her to fear for the safety of her infant son.
Because his mother had lost a male child previously, it was believed that that was an omen. For that reason, she called him Sai Fong, which is like Little Phoenix, which is a feminine name, in the hopes that the spirits would think it was a female child and therefore bypass him.
That's right. Okay, so Sai Fong instead of Sai Lung, because Sai Lung would be like Little Dragon, which is really what he is. So it was Little Phoenix. Interesting. Out of superstition.
Let him live.
But it was the name given to him by a hospital nurse that stuck. Bruce.
Still call me Bruce.
In 1941, as the war in Europe threatened to engulf the South Pacific, Lee moved Bruce and his family back to Hong Kong. As Hong Kong felt the hardships of World War II and the Japanese invasion, Lee continued to find work as an actor. Enjoying a thriving movie career.
By the way, you guys remember Bruce Leroy from that Shogun movie back in the 90s? So good. Show enough.
Bruce's father often brought his son to film sets with him, and by the age of 6, the fledgling performer was cast in his first speaking role, seen here in this dubbed excerpt from Kid Chung.
Here you are, sir.
You like that, Shen, huh?
Uh-huh. I sure wish I could throw a knife like that.
I guess that's when it all started. The director,
I didn't know this.
My father, even my father being an actor, I mean, they all said that he was a natural.
Wait, you can't go out now. There's police all around.
Even in these early films, the boy was showing the kind of charm, charisma, and body language that would mark his later screen appearances.
If you look at some of his childhood roles, there's the thumbing of the nose, and there's that sort of grimace that he did when he got mad, and all of these carried over into adult.
The hell? He was doing the thumb to the nose thing? That's like a boxer thing. Where did he learn that at that age?
That was really Bruce. I mean, later he would say that was honest self-expression.
Yeah, it has to be. They weren't watching, like, there's no way he was watching mainstream boxing back then. No way, not in the 50s.
Despite being nearsighted and somewhat frail as a child, the young actor was growing up to be a handsome, confident, and even cocky teenager. In addition to acting, Bruce also developed a love for dancing, winning first place in a number of cha-cha contests in Hong Kong.
Jet Li followed in his footsteps when it came to this.
But for a handsome young actor and dancer, post-war Hong Kong was a tough place to grow up.
Yep.
Gangs ruled the city streets.
That's where my mom is from, you guys, Hong Kong. There's reasons to everything in here when it comes to what you guys know about me. There's reasons. Like, look at my logo. Just look it up.
And Lee was often forced to fight them. But Bruce liked a challenge and faced his adversaries head on.
I remember when Bruce was about 14 years old, he always did like to fight. So there was a group of students, classmates, that didn't quite like him. So one day when he walked out of school, they just jumped him and beat the heck out of him, you know. I guess he felt that he had to defend himself.
In one such fight, Bruce took on the son of a feared triad gang member. Afraid of retaliation, his parents enrolled their son in his first martial arts class.
By the way, that's what happened to me too, and also why I got into fighting movies like Rocky, Karate Kid, and mainly Bruce Lee. When I was a kid, you know, like the Asian hate thing is real. I mean, it is what it is. So when I was in grade school growing up, there was this dude, I'm going to leave him nameless, but let's just say he was twice the size of anybody else that was in our grade. The thing is, he wasn't our age. He was much older, but he kept failing. He was that guy, you know? So this guy kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was ridiculous. We had the same bus stop, and honestly, this guy was kicking my ass day after day after day. And so like I started out every day for, you know, man, it went on for at least a year where this dude was kicking my ass, right? Kicking my ass before school. There's nothing I could do about it. This is just how the 80s were, you guys. So I started coming home and I would talk to my dad and I'd tell him what's going on. And like I said, this is the 80s. We didn't call it the school. He was basically telling me, you have to learn to defend yourself or else this is always going to happen to you, you know? So I was like, all right. So that's when I started watching all this Bruce Lee content. And, you know, I started getting that fighter's will. I started watching Michael Jordan a lot, you know, like I clung on to these guys that never said die. And that became like my way forward, because the thing is as I was getting stronger and I was getting more confident, this guy would still kick my ass. You know what I mean? But I'd get a shot in, or something would, you know, I'd make steps closer and closer to being able to truly defend myself. And it was just not fair going against a guy that's literally twice my size, but I tried my best. But anyways, that's where it all started. Bruce Lee was being bullied at a young age. So was I. That's how I learned how to fight. That's how I learned how to get strong. And when you hit the ground like that at such a young age, you learn never to say die, you know, because at those moments you want to say die, but you got to keep getting up, keep trying again, keep getting stronger. And that's the way it leads. Eventually, yes, we did have an opportunity for a showdown once we were both in high school. We reconnected through the school somehow. And at this point, I had caught up to him in height and size. And I did challenge him to a fight because I was like, we have unfinished business. And he ended up apologizing to me the next day and said basically like, hey, I'm sorry for everything that happened when we were kids. You know, I don't want to go down this path with you. And I was like, all right, fine. You know, we shook hands and we moved on. Anyways, like I said, this is going to be an interesting long video, you guys, because I didn't expect to talk about that, but this video is going to trigger some weird things from my childhood.
Now training under Yip Man, a martial arts master and philosopher, Bruce was instructed in the ways of discipline and self-control.
Beginning in his early teens, he became involved with Wing Chun Kung Fu, which was a form of martial arts. And this was a philosophy that was very much about finding your power and delivering it in a very efficient way.
To his parents' dismay, Bruce's street fighting continued, and the violent nature of his confrontations was escalating.
In one of his last encounters, while he was removing his jacket, the fellow he was squaring off against sucker punched him and blackened his eye, and Bruce flew into a rage and went after him and knocked the fellow out, you know, broke his tooth, broke his arm, and the police were involved.
Police detective came up and he said, excuse me, Mr. Lee, he said, your son's been really fighting bad in school. And he said, if he gets into one more fight, I'm gonna have to put him in jail.
To rescue their son from Hong Kong's mean streets, Lee's parents made the difficult decision to send their 18-year-old son to live with friends in the United States.
Yep.
We saw him off, and my father was a very old-fashioned man, okay? He never hugs anybody, nobody, you know. My father actually went over and hugged him, and that really took us all by surprise, you know.
And this was during a weird time. This was back when the Chinese were here in America mainly to build the railroads. and that was kind of like their way of passage to becoming, you know, Americans and being accepted into the culture. That's also where like the not in a China doesn't have a China man's chance or whatever, like that whole thing came from, because there were a lot of instances involving cut rope and dynamite, and a lot of Chinese people that were just killed due to racism back then. And Bruce Lee kind of came in during that time where, like I said, it was a whole different time back then, guys. Asian hate was like crazy at this point. But it's funny to think that that's the answer, because he was having trouble in Hong Kong. It's like, send him to America. You know? But I don't think they really knew.
Now
Bruce
back at the
figured
place
it
of
out
his
anyways.
birth, Bruce settled in Seattle and soon found work at a restaurant owned by a family friend named Ruby Chow. But the rebellious young teenager was certain he was destined for more than waiting tables in Chinatown. Enrolling at the University of Washington, he began majoring in philosophy. Now
From
graceful.
what I understand, it was the owner of the restaurant too, or if she's not the owner, I think she was the owner. She's the one who forked over some money for Bruce to go to college, get an education.
Blending his studies with martial arts, Bruce was developing a campus reputation for being something of a master. Soon, friends and classmates began flocking to him for instruction.
When we first started out, he didn't charge anybody. And he never probably would have, but Bruce used to get frustrated, and so we finally said, look, Bruce, why don't you start a school and charge us money, and then you can go out on your own.
In 1963, while still in college, Bruce opened the Jun Fan Kung Fu Institute. But before long, the instructor's attentions began focusing on one special student, a former cheerleader named Linda Emery.
And this also shows before he was ever a star, he was already a teacher.
We were on the campus of the University of Washington, and he said, okay, Linda, now I want you to throw me, and he showed me how to do it. So I threw him over on the grass, and he landed on the grass, and we were kind of laughing, and he said, let's go to the Space Needle for dinner. I said, you mean all of us? And he said, no, just you. And I was like,
Guys, you ever been to the Space Needle? I just went earlier this year, I believe it was, for the first time. I'd never been to Seattle before. Seattle is like crazy populated these days, by the way, but the Space Needle was awesome. I didn't like the hour, like we waited like an hour and a half or something to get up there. Once we were up there, it was great though. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. If you're afraid of heights, you might not want to do it.
that was our first date, October 25th.
It's a good first date, Space Needle.
The relationship quickly became serious, but Linda's mother was not happy with her daughter's choice of a boyfriend.
Yeah, she didn't want a yellow baby. I remember this.
Interracial couples were not widely accepted in the 1960s.
Yep.
And Mrs. Emery doubted that the young philosophy student could provide a stable life for her daughter. Determined to prove her wrong,
the yellow baby comment comes from Linda herself, because that's what her mother was saying when she was like, you can't be taking this relationship seriously. And then that's where she went to. So am I going to have a yellow baby grandchild? You know, it's like I said, a different time.
Bruce worked harder than ever to build his budding franchise of martial arts schools. And on August 17, 1964, Bruce and his former student Linda were married.
That was one time in my life I knew that I was doing the absolutely right thing, that this man was a man of quality and integrity and great love and warmth, and that we were going to be okay.
The couple moved to Oakland, California, where Bruce had already opened a second Kung Fu school. There, Bruce continued his practice of teaching any and all willing to learn.
He didn't have any barriers of color or anything like that. He said, if your heart is right, he said, I'm going to teach you.
He was one of the first to teach the true secrets of the martial arts to Americans and to non-Orientals. And there was a very strong feeling among many Asians that this was a corrupt practice. This was an improper thing to do.
Within months of opening his new school, Lee was confronted by a hostile group of Asian martial arts masters.
And they issued an ultimatum to Bruce Lee saying, stop teaching Caucasians or you're going to have to fight our top man. That, of course, was the wrong thing to say to Bruce Lee
Yep.
because he loved a challenge and also wasn't going to be told what to do by anybody. So I think the fight lasted 3 minutes.
Yep. So that was like the retaliation was, the Chinese were getting treated poorly from the, American. So the payback was like, well, don't teach them our martial arts, And it's funny. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I love Bruce Lee for saying like, screw all that. Wisdom is for everybody. Knowledge is for everybody. And he fought for the ability to teach everyone. I absolutely love that.
Bruce had subdued him, put him to the floor, and made the man say in Chinese, I give up, I give up.
Yep.
But winning the fight wasn't enough. Feeling that he should have won in seconds, not minutes, Bruce began developing a strict regimen to revolutionize martial arts.
Bruce Lee took a hard and objective look at the art of combat. And he came away with it with some very profound truths, such as it is constantly changing. You cannot expect to fight in a one-dimensional aspect when fighting is multidimensional.
Be formless. Shape.
Here it is, you guys. Here it is.
Aspect when fighting is multidimensional.
Be formless. Shapeless. Like water. Now you put water into a cup. It becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Lee also
That's why I say Barry Sanders is water, my friends.
hoped that martial arts would combat racism by bridging the gap between Eastern and Western cultures.
Hey, man, it's what we had to do back then, though. I mean, I was glad I learned about Bruce Lee at such a young age, because when I was a kid, I didn't understand why I was getting picked on all the time. And I didn't understand I looked so different than everybody else, and I talked different, and I was shy because of it. I learned from Bruce Lee that basically you got to be special, or else no one's, everyone's just going to pick on you. So that's when I picked up a basketball, you guys. And I started just whooping ass in basketball. Like I practiced so freaking hard. Like I practiced nonstop back then, because that to me was my way in, to be accepted. And guess what? It did work. Should I have to do that to be accepted? I don't know, man. That's a conversation for a different day. But when your back is against the wall and you don't have a choice, you do it. So, I loved Michael Jordan. He was my inspiration. So I just started hooping. And next thing you know, whenever we're in my age group, I'm the best player year after year after year. And that's just how I became accepted. I got friends that way. I kept friends that way. And I wasn't laughed at, just because I look weird. All of a sudden, it was cool that I looked different. You know what I mean? Because, look at this guy. I've never seen someone play basketball, like blah, 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 all that stuff. But that's why there's certain things like this I'll never let go of. I'll never forget Bruce Lee. I'll never forget Michael Jordan. These are the guys who inspired me to say, don't be a victim, figure your way through this wall. And I've always lived by that. This kind of stuff was coming back during COVID. A lot of people were going to nail salons and stuff like that, and just shooting up the place. And I was like, oh man, here we go again. Here we go again with the hate. But you gotta truck through. You gotta figure your way through. Life is just crazy.
And when he was invited to perform at Ed Parker's Karate Championship in Long Beach, California, he astonished the crowd with his famous 1-inch punch.
Yeah.
He would tighten his fist and just deliver that 1-inch shot of impact. But during that short distance in time, he would generate all of his body weight into the point of impact.
And he said, let me show you something. And he turned to Tom, to my teacher, who was then one of Parker's black belts. And he gave him his little kicking bag. He kicked Tom the length of a swimming pool and into a flower bed. I was impressed, to say the least.
But despite his growing reputation in the martial arts field, Bruce Lee was frustrated.
And that's one cool thing. A lot of these demonstrations he did, people have accused him of it's a hoax. It's not real. Dude, these are real martial artists that he's demonstrating on. I mean, the martial artists who participated were the most shocked people that were there, like, because they weren't expecting to, you know, like the 1 inch punch or whatever. Like, come on now. If somebody were to say, I'm going to knock you down and I need 1 inch and 1 finger, I'll be like, get the hell out of here. I would be so shocked if I found myself on the ground, you know? And I think that's exactly how they felt.
Still struggling to make ends meet, his schools were not bringing in enough money, and the future at best seemed uncertain. What he didn't know was that fame was just around the corner. On February 1st, 1965, Bruce and Linda celebrated the birth of their first child, Brandon Bruce Lee.
Bruce's greatest joy in his whole life was
Y'all ever see, like, The Crow? Brandon Lee, man. There's his life, and the way it ended is a whole different thing. I can't even talk about it today. It's just, there's so many unknowns.
his children. He wanted to have a boy because it's a very Chinese thing to have a boy to carry on.
He had a very, very, keen sense of love for his son, and he used to always brag and say he's the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed Chinaman in the world.
But just 1 week after Brandon's birth, tragedy struck when Bruce received word that his father, Lee Hoi Chuan, had died in Hong Kong.
Yep, he went back home.
After flying home to attend the funeral, Lee returned to America more determined than ever to make his family proud of him. He focused all of his attentions on perfecting a distinctive style of martial arts, eventually called Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist.
He told us Jeet Kune Do is a bunch of concepts and philosophies and strategies, and you take out and make it fit into you. It's like a coat. Everyone cannot fit into a size 42 coat. It has to be tailor-made for you.
He believed that he could take the best of many different kinds of fighting, a piece here and a piece there, from boxing, wrestling, martial arts, all sorts of different physical activity, and incorporate it into a single philosophy.
Ultimately, muscle
While Bruce was busy pouring all of his energy into martial...
And I think that the hybrid method is, I'll just speak for myself, it's been very beneficial for me my entire life. When it came to fighting, I was influenced by guys like Bruce. I was influenced by guys like Mike Tyson. So it was a good variety of this kind of knowledge. And then when it came to basketball, I wasn't just trying to be a showboat, but I would be a showboat sometimes. But really, I was mainly about just dominating both offense and defense. I took way more pride even on defense and rebounding, block shots and steals than I did on scoring, even though scoring felt great. Same thing, with music too. When I started picking up music, I followed the same path. I started out with rhythm, then I became the best in my group as far as like playing lead guitar. So everyone tried to push me to just play lead guitar, but I wanted to be more versatile to really express myself. So mainly I consider myself just a songwriter, and I happen to excel at lead guitar. But at the end of the day, it's a full canvas, You can't just sit there and throw color at a blank canvas. Like, you need to blueprint first. So anyway, I'm sorry. It's a lot of tangents in this video. Sorry. It's just, this is very personal for me.
Arts. Veteran TV producer William Dozier was searching for an Asian actor, one that could star in a new TV series he was developing based on the classic Charlie Chan mysteries.
Green Hornet, baby.
A friend of Dozier's, Hollywood hairstylist Jay Sebring, had recently seen Lee perform at the Ed Parker tournament and enthusiastically recommended him to the producer.
He said, well, listen, I've got the guy for you.
I used to do this too. Oh man, I can't do that no more. I used to do this though. I forgot about all this stuff.
By the name of Bruce Lee. He's a good-looking man. He's got tremendous charisma. I'll call and see if there's some footage to show you. So he did, and as soon as Dozier saw it, he knew he had his man.
Test X1. Take one, Steve.
Now, Bruce, just look right into the camera lens right here and tell us your name, your age, and where you were born.
My last name is Lee, Bruce Lee. I was born in San Francisco in 1940. I'm 24 right now.
And you worked in motion pictures in Hong Kong?
Yes, since I was around 6 years old.
And when did you leave Hong Kong?
1959, when I was 18.
I see. Now look over to me, Bruce, as we talk. I understand you just had a baby boy?
Yeah.
And you've lost a little sleep over it, have you?
3 nights.
In 1965, Dozier ordered this screen test for Bruce at 20th Century Fox Studios.
I've never seen this footage. That's actually really cool. They got him being professional, and then they got him with his guard down, just chilling and talking. And then it's like, let's see your moves.
There is the finger jab. There is the punch. There is the back fist, and then low. Of course, then they use leg. Straight at the groin, or come
Look
up.
at the speed.
Or, if I can back up a little bit, they start back from here, and then come back.
Not just the speed, but the control. I mean, could you imagine if he just if he kicked this guy right in the face? But that confidence, those repetitions, man.
All right. It's kind of worried.
Unfortunately for Bruce, Dozier was now busy preparing his upcoming...
I'm glad they did this, because this was totally... This was Batman and Robin. That's all the Green Hornet was to me. Batman and Robin featuring...
...keep him in mind for his next project. One based on a classic radio drama from the 1930s, The Green Hornet.
They wanted to offer Bruce the part of Kato, but that wasn't going to happen until the following year because they wanted to make sure that Batman worked. So there we were, now having moved to Los Angeles, and Bruce didn't have a job.
Bruce Lee didn't have to wait very long.
To the Batcave.
Batman became a national phenomenon, and within weeks, Dozier began prepping the Green Hornet.
Guys, it's embarrassing to look back on and watch it now, but how many of you guys just watched the hell out of the Batman TV show? I thought it was great when I was a kid.
No need for panic, Mr. Smith. After all, we're both on the same side of the law.
Just cut us in on your racket. That's all we are after.
Racket?
It's getting late, boss.
If we're going to be partners, Mr. Smith, we mustn't keep secrets from one another.
Everything on a table where we can all see it.
Impressed with Bruce's screen presence, if not his acting, ABC network executives accepted Dozier's choice of Lee as Kato, the crime-fighting chauffeur.
And now, to protect the rights and lives of decent citizens, rides the Green Hornet.
When the show premiered on Friday, September 9th, 1966, Bruce Lee leapt onto the screen and into stardom.
I know the major difference and a problem with this is in this show, Robin is the freaking star.
He went from being a martial arts instructor to someone that everybody watched in prime time in North America. No one had ever seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Soon the fan mail Bruce was receiving was outpulling that of the star.
Starring in the role of millionaire newspaper publisher
John Little. Isn't that somebody from like the Robin Hood tale?
Britt Reed, alias the Green Hornet, was a dashing all-American heartthrob named Van Williams.
No more tricks, Carly. I'm here to talk business.
The thing that impressed me about him then is, as always, was his intensity. You know, he was very, very intense.
You know, if we ever meet up with that masked Kung Fu man again, I want him.
But a very nice gentleman.
Take it easy, miss. We won't hurt you.
From that moment on, Bruce and I kind of started working on a friendship all through the series.
After years of financial insecurity, Bruce was now a regular in a network TV series. And although his role was secondary to that of Van Williams, he was determined not to play Kato as a subordinate.
He didn't want any chopsocky or pigtail or bowing and scraping and that kind of thing, the way that Chinese had been portrayed. So that was his rule, that he would not do any roles demeaning to the Chinese culture.
And to this day, at 43 years old, I thank you, sir. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing it the right way.
A perfectionist, Bruce worked hard to make his fight scenes as authentic as possible.
Kung Fu is Kung Fu. It's not child's play.
He soon learned the compromises required when filming for television.
We had to slow up his action because we found in the test that he was moving too fast.
Okay, I want you guys to hear that again because I've heard this before.
He soon learned the compromises required when filming for television.
We had to slow up his action because we found in the test that he was moving too fast for the speed of the motion picture film. People may not realize he could have been faster than he was.
Yeah, I think back then they were dealing with 30 frames per second max, or 24. 24, sorry, it's nerd stuff. 24 or 30 frames per second. Either way, he was moving too fast to really capture all of his moves. Like, it was just becoming a blur on the screen. Today's like 120 frames per second, like 120 hertz. I bet it would be awesome if we can just go back in time and use today's technology and capture this footage.
Holy uncanny photographic mental processes.
The Green Hornet and Cato failed to catch on with primetime audiences.
And loses.
Holy split seconds, let's go.
Well, he just went right through the roof. And he said, there is no way I'm going to get into a fight with Robin and lose. Bert had told everybody, he's a big black belt and big tough guy. And Bruce had heard all about this. So he was going to play his Chinese water torture game on him. He let out little words. He was going to get this guy. And Bruce comes in and he gives him the silent treatment, and he's grumbling around and said, Bert thought he was just going to lose his temper and just destroy him. Adam said that Bert Ward was just shaking in his shorts. He was so scared that Bruce was going to take after him.
Oh, man.
Ultimately, the producers ended the battle in a draw to avoid upsetting fans of either show.
None too smart for a smart crime fighter?
Are we just letting them go, Batman?
But it didn't matter. The Green Hornet was canceled after just one season.
That was unquestionably a big blow to Bruce Lee. He had hoped that the show would be more successful. He had hoped to use that as a springboard, and it didn't work out.
With the cancellation of the Green Hornet, the future was once again uncertain. And despite a new legion
but that guy who got him this gig, he'll be back around.
Of loyal fans and the powerful contacts he had made in the entertainment industry, Bruce Lee would again be facing tough times.
Yep. He's going broke again.
Now 27.
Shout out to his wife Linda. Like she had so much faith in him, like during all these ups and downs. Like she stayed by his side and they figured things out. And you give Bruce Lee enough time, he gets back on his feet.
Bruce had hoped the Green Hornet would open doors for him. Instead, he found work only sporadically, making a few guest appearances in shows like Here Come the Brides.
I did not meet the ship because I refused to marry a woman I've never seen.
Vincent, decision not yours. The society arranges all marriages.
I am no longer a part of the society. I resign.
Perhaps you wish to speak to Chae. You could explain your reasonings to him.
I will explain nothing to Chae. Now, I am no longer a member of the society. Is that understood?
Unable to find work as an actor, he hired himself out as a fight coordinator on films like The Wrecking Crew, starring Dean Martin.
Those years were very difficult to break into Hollywood. There became a racial barrier that prevented him from crossing over into the Hollywood establishment.
Mm-hmm. Frustrated and with a family to support, Bruce turned to his friend Green Hornet producer Charles Fitzsimons for advice.
And I said, well, wait a minute, Bruce, I have an idea. I said, how about teaching people in their own homes where you don't have to have a studio? And I explained to him all of the middle-aged would-be macho individuals in the motion picture industry and in business. These are your potential clients.
Now attracting celebrity students like James Coburn, Steve McQueen, and basketball legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
the captain,
Bruce became the hottest martial arts coach in Hollywood.
He was not like most of the other people in the martial arts who had a tendency to be very formal and stiff. He was very down-to-earth, very American.
Yeah, I actually learned something here. I didn't realize he was teaching Kareem that early, because we know, well, I'll tell you, Kareem shows up as like the big boss in what's the name of the movie? Game of Death, which was Bruce Lee's final movie, if I'm remembering everything correctly. It's been a while since I went down the rabbit hole, but I thought like it was more recent to that he was being trained. That's how I was always told. But seeing all this, hearing all this, it looks like Kareem was being trained for a long time before Bruce ever asked him to be in a movie.
When you're working out, and he always wanted to make the most use of your time together with him, you had to have done your homework and be ready to go.
But of all of Bruce's pupils, his favorite was his son, Brandon.
Brandon was a mositong, couldn't sit still little kid. And as soon as he could walk, Bruce was having him learn kicks and punches and all that kind of thing. And awesome. Brandon had endless amounts of energy, just like his dad.
Yeah, I was a big Brandon Lee fan. What happened to him was devastating.
Proud as Bruce was of his son, he was equally proud of his second child, daughter Shannon, born.
I mean, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, like Linda's a white woman, and Bruce is a full-blood Chinese. I related a lot to Brandon Lee.
19th, 1969.
She was as much a girl as Brandon was a boy. Shannon just had Bruce around her little finger. Daddy's little girl. It was like an angel had come to live at our house when Shannon was born.
It's funny, but I guess when Bruce Lee is your dad, he's your dad. We weren't the sort of kids that went around saying, well, my dad's Bruce Lee, and he could, you know, beat up your dad. Even though I'm sure that's true for the most part.
Hey, us boys used to do that kind of stuff, though. My dad would kick your dad's ass.
Despite what his children thought, Bruce was not invincible. One morning in 1970, while working out with weights, he injured a major nerve in his back, which left him unable to train for 6 months. Frustrated, he poured his energy into refining his philosophy of Jeet Kune Do and began writing extensively on every aspect of martial arts combat. Doctors came to Bruce with devastating news. They told him that he would never be able to perform martial arts again.
Yeah, I mean, for a while, like, it looked like he might be paralyzed. So what's he do instead of sit down and like lay down and die? Well, he started exercising his brain during that time, and he started refining his style, you know, because he was creating his own unique style of fighting at this time. And then also, while that's going on physically, you'll see.
Vowing to prove them wrong, Lee, once healthy enough to train, set up an exhaustive daily fitness regimen.
What he did, again, turning a stumbling block into a stepping stone, he wanted to see just what the limitations and capabilities of the human body were. He would do 2,000 punches a day, 1,000 kicks a day. He would run 3 miles and get on a bike and bike 15 miles. All of it was pushing to see what the human body was truly capable of.
Anxious to get his acting career back on track, Bruce worked closely with screenwriter Sterling Siliphant and actor James Coburn on a film idea entitled The Silent Flute.
Bruce had originated the idea for a screenplay that he called The Silent Flute. Warner Brothers was interested in doing it. It was the picture that was going to break Bruce into Hollywood. And we lived on that hope for several years there in the difficult years. So that was a crushing disappointment to Bruce when that film was never made.
By the way, can we just have a little moment to appreciate the guy got an injury that should have made it so he can never do martial arts again. And in that time, he refined his art and also proved everybody wrong. All the movies you've ever seen Bruce Lee in, it was after the injury, you guys. It was after they said he could never do this anymore. It's wild.
Still teaching martial arts, Bruce felt Hollywood had turned its back on him as an actor. Looking for work, he traveled to Hong Kong to promote himself and meet with Asian filmmakers.
Run Run Shaw was the biggest Asian filmmaker. Unfortunately, the bid was a standard offer that he offered his contract players, which was like $200 a week for about 7 years. Well, that wasn't what Bruce was looking for, so he politely declined.
Back in Hollywood in 1971, Bruce collaborated with Sterling Silliphant on a script for TV's popular Longstreet series. Guest appearing as a martial arts master, Bruce was in fact so well received by the show's producers that he was offered a recurring role. But by now, Lee's status in Asia had changed. On a trip back to Hong Kong, he was astonished to discover that the Green Hornet had become hugely popular. Asian fans now referred to it as the Kato Show.
And when he arrived there, thousands of people would come to the airport. He couldn't walk down the street without being mobbed the way that Tom Cruise, I guess today, might be mobbed if he walked out on the street.
As a result of his newfound fame, Bruce was asked to star in a film for top Asian producer Raymond Chow.
Bruce expressed that he would like very much to come back to Hong Kong to make pictures. And I called him on the phone, and we started a conversation. The whole thing clicks. Then we signed a 3-picture deal, and he came back, and the rest is history.
Bruce's first assignment for Raymond Chow was as the star of a modestly budgeted martial arts film entitled The Big Boss.
The Big Boss is where I learned the term of what a foreman is, because I used to always laugh with my family. Like, why is this guy such an asshole? Like, the boss. Like, why is he so demanding? You know, and my dad would be like, well, he's the foreman. He's the boss. You know? And, oh, my God. It's just so funny. Hey, what are you doing? Get back to work. Back to work. Oh, man. We still do this stuff, man. We still laugh about the same stuff. Get to work. Back to work.
Introducing Bruce Lee. Every limb of his body is a lethal weapon against men. We're savage beasts.
Hong Kong moviegoers
They're just supposed to be making blocks of ice, man. There's a wild job.
Renowned for being very vocal. And they have even been known to, like, cut the seats with a knife or something if they didn't like the movie. So we're sitting there. The crowd is hushed. And he thinks, for a second, oh my God, they hate it.
The audience, I said, was sort of dumbfounded.
They were shocked.
At the end of the thing. Until everybody
You think your job is tough?
Got into thunderous applause.
The Big Boss broke all previous box office records in Asia, and Bruce Lee was on his way to becoming an international star. But instead of taking his newfound celebrity status for granted, he pushed himself even harder.
Oh yeah, this is where it's at, man.
In his next film for Raymond Chow, Fist of Fury,
I love this movie.
Lee introduced the nunchaku, a weapon never before seen in a martial arts film. Once again,
Jet Li, I think it was his first like well-renowned movie. He basically did a remake of Fist of Fury here, and it was a good one too.
Film broke all box office records. But success has many rivals, and one of them was film producer Run Run Shaw. Hoping to steal Bruce away from Raymond Chow, he tempted the actor with a blank check for his services. Instead, Bruce remained loyal to Raymond Chow. He proposed an equal partnership for a series of films. It was an offer Chow couldn't and didn't refuse.
Smart.
Professionally confident and financially secure, Bruce Lee had conquered Asia, but his real goal had eluded him. Bruce Lee wanted to take on the world. In Hollywood, old habits die hard. And despite international fame as a martial arts superstar, Bruce Lee seemed no match for domestic prejudices.
It was very difficult to convince people who could give a green light to a project that an Asian hero would work as a marquee draw.
They think that business-wise, it's a risk. And I don't blame them. In the same way, it's like in Hong Kong, if a foreigner come and became a star, if I were the man with the money, I probably would have my own worry of whether or not the acceptance would be there. But that's all right, because If you honestly express yourself, it doesn't matter.
Bruce Lee, before he left for Hong Kong, was working with Warner Brothers, with Fred Weintraub.
I mean, on a business level, it makes a lot of sense. I can't be mad about it. It does make sense. It is, you don't know, you have less of a guarantee about what an audience draw is going to be versus just doing your normal American movie thing. It makes perfect sense, because if you flip the script, like he said, and we're talking about in Asia having, you know, like a white American beat a star, they'll be like, I don't know about this. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this. You know, it's unfortunate, because everything is revolved around money, because it takes money to invest in order to create these projects. So if the money doesn't get returned, then these projects never happen again. It's unfortunate that that's how like our art is consumed, but it is just the way it goes. You know, it is what it is. So if you want to break through that barrier, like Bruce did, you have to be absolutely genuine and spectacular. And he did it.
In developing a concept for a television show set in the Old West, and it was going to be called The Warrior at that point.
Like how did we start believing in the fact that a guard could win in basketball? Michael Jordan had to just be completely genuine and just crazy spectacular, kick the wall down, never let it back up, and leave no doubt. You know, same idea here.
It was later changed to Kung Fu. They never apparently considered him at all for the lead.
Oh, this is messed up now. This is messed up.
So it doesn't matter.
Bruce Lee, before he left for Hong Kong, was working with Warner Brothers, with Fred Weintraub, in developing a concept for a television show set in the Old West, and it was going to be called The Warrior at that point. It was later changed to Kung Fu.
Yep, Kung Fu.
They never apparently considered him at all for the lead because, in their words, he was too Chinese looking. And what happened was they ended up giving the role to a Caucasian actor, David Carradine, who they tried to make up to look half Chinese.
I know, and I grew up watching this show, and I never knew that was Bruce Lee's gig. The idea of this one now, okay, the other situations I could totally get over, but a show about Kung Fu, you know, it's almost like a Wild West kind of situation. This guy's just roaming around from town to town, and he's using his Kung Fu skills to survive. That's a perfect show for a guy like Bruce Lee. But then to put a white dude in there, okay, maybe we can go with a cool story here that like he was trained by somebody legendary. But no, they went with the white dude, and he trying to make him pass off as Asian. That's when it was just like, this is too far. That's just whack.
Bitter at what he considered Hollywood's racism, Bruce now turned all of his attentions to his partnership with Raymond Chow.
And from everything I understand, he helped write that show. He helped write it. It was supposed to be for him.
Having developed a keen interest in filmmaking while starring in the Green Hornet, Lee now oversaw all aspects of his new film, Way of the Dragon.
It's Lee, Unleashed.
Those sounds.
He wrote it, he choreographed it, he starred in it, he played percussion and the music for the film.
Really?
He had about 8 hats on, you know, and it was his first ever directorial debut.
Lee, Unmarshaled.
Bruce was given the creative control he desired and made sure that his performance and the film would live up to his audience's growing expectations. One of the film's highlights was this grueling fight scene between Lee and his former student, Chuck Norris.
Oh man, the Coliseum. This is the one fight that it was I believe it was Chuck who said like they actually hit each other quite a few times during this fight.
At the beginning of that fight scene, Bruce Lee's character is losing because he's in a very rigid martial arts way.
You pull the hair out.
Chuck Norris's character is also rigid, and he's a more powerful, bigger individual.
And he blows it.
Bruce at that point changes.
That's another one. My whole family used to impersonate that whole thing.
Tactics and starts bouncing around.
I used to pretend all these flashbacks. I'm so glad I'm doing this. I used to pretend like I would like rip out my dad's chest hair and then blow it just to get a laugh out of him.
Like Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Robinson, and being non-telegraphic, and as a result, Bruce Lee emerges victorious. Bruce stressed the need to show the ability to adapt instantly to whatever the situation was in front of you.
Way of the Dragon smashed all previous box office records, and within weeks of its release, Bruce was busy prepping fight scenes for his next film, Game of Death.
Yep.
Co-starring would be his friend and former pupil, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I was flabbergasted, this is something that we had dreamed about, but, we'd never really gotten a green light from anybody. It was a great experience.
But before Game of Death was completed, Bruce finally got the call from Hollywood he had waited for all his life. He was offered his first starring role in an American film, Enter the Dragon. It would be a big-budget martial arts blockbuster and a validation of Bruce's years of dedication to his art. Now, more than ever, Bruce Lee was considered the #1 martial arts practitioner in the world, on and off the set.
Okay, so I was right. I'm trying to memorize this timeline because it's been a while since I've done this. So Game of Death was the last Chinese movie that got him into. That was actually really smart to have Kareem in there. That was brilliant. I don't know if it was intentional, but that was such a perfect way to bridge the gap between the States and China. Like one star, major Chinese star and a major American star with Kareem. Perfect.
Some kid was sitting on a wall questioning whether he was just an actor or could he really do any of the things that he had been doing. And Bruce walked close to him, and then it was just snap, and he hit him. And the kid had a bloody nose and raised his hands, and that was it.
To their eyes, he was like Billy the Kid. People would try and take pokes at him when he was walking down the street. But Bruce would just, use all the savvy that he developed and just play with these guys, and in fact would make a move on them and then correct their forms.
Though Bruce was physically fit and at the top of his game, something was seriously wrong.
He was training for something that would never come, a fight that would never happen. Bruce seemed to be on a 7-day-a-week schedule.
He was just working hard, and he knew it. But with the success of Enter the Dragon, he would have achieved that place where he could pick and choose a little bit, take his time to find the right properties and develop them. So he was on the cusp of realizing his dreams.
On May 10th, 1970...
By the way, this movie, yeah, right here, I mean... It felt a lot like Mortal Kombat, you guys. Like, growing up playing Mortal Kombat, but watching that before ever playing Mortal Kombat, I think it was pretty influenced by that movie.
Of realizing his dreams.
On May 10th, 1973, while editing Enter the Dragon in a Hong Kong studio, Bruce Lee became dizzy and collapsed. Rushed to the hospital, the actor appeared very close to death, although doctors couldn't determine the cause. Undergoing a battery of tests, he recovered sufficiently to return to work, and after completing Enter the Dragon, resumed work on the unfinished Game of Death.
He was working with a Chinese actress who he thought might be involved in the film as well. So he was at her house, and he complained that he had a headache. And she gave him a prescription tablet that she had called XZAVIER-DAA-GOD. And he went into another room and lay down.
But when she couldn't wake him a few hours later, actress Betty Ting Pei called Raymond Chow.
The phone rang and they said, I don't know what happens, but I couldn't wake up Bruce. So why don't you come? So in a hurry, I went to Betty's place, and Bruce looked very pale.
Raymond Chow called me and told me I should go to the hospital. And so I took a taxi to the hospital, and I just remember that I couldn't ask if he had died. And I said, is he alive? And they said, no.
Damn.
On July 20th, 1973, at the age of 32, Bruce Lee, martial arts master, was dead.
We were shocked. I definitely was shocked. My mom was, of course, she was torn apart really bad. Because she was so proud of Bruce.
And here was a man in the peak of health, and one day he just expired. No car accident, no external source, no great illness. And so people needed to find a reason.
Yeah.
But as news spread throughout the world, so did rumors that his death was no accident. Had he been murdered, some wondered? The target of retaliation by angry Hong Kong gangs? Some even speculated that Lee had been killed by a curse imposed by Asian martial arts masters, still angry that he had revealed their secrets to non-Asians.
Wow. As far as rumors of a curse or rumors of this and that, there's just no bearing. I mean, I suppose when someone passes away, you can say whatever you want. You could say he was done in by gremlins, but there's equal evidence for gremlins as there is for a curse.
An autopsy revealed the cause of Lee's death to be cerebral edema, or swelling of the brain, an allergic reaction to the pill he had taken to alleviate his headache.
Crazy. That's also how Chuck Norris says the story too. Because Chuck basically says, like, I've heard all the theories, I've heard all conspiracies. This is what happened. This is what killed him. Like, we all need to stop.
The medical evidence was extremely clear. So you may call it a freak accident, but absolutely nothing else.
And that's why I always say, you guys, carpe diem, seize the day, gather your rosebuds while you may. You just never know. We never know when our time is up. I wish we did, I think. Or maybe not. That would take the beauty out of life.
In days, more than 20,000 mourners crowded the streets of Hong Kong to pay their respects to the fallen superstar. Following a memorial service, his body was taken to Seattle, where Bruce and his wife had met and fallen in love.
I gotta watch Game of Death again, because it's been so long, and I rarely watch that movie because it was kind of unfinished, and somebody else came in with that yellow jumpsuit to finish the job, so it never really sat well with me. But I think as an adult I need to revisit it. Yeah. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, by the way, Game of Death, because that one literally has him going up levels, like higher levels as the competition gets better. All I'm saying is, yeah, Mortal Kombat was definitely Bruce Lee inspired. I mean, look at Liu Kang.
At the funeral were close friends James Coburn and Steve McQueen, who served as pallbearers. At the age of only 32, Bruce Lee had left behind a wife, 2 children, and an unrivaled legacy in the world of entertainment and martial arts. But ironically, it would be the films in which he didn't appear where his legend would live on.
Oh. Wait, what?
In a desperate effort to salvage Bruce Lee's last film,
okay, well, I should have just waited to talk about it.
The producers hired a lookalike actor and resorted to obvious and at times laughable camera tricks.
Very obvious, but I get it.
Cut! Okay, that's a print. That was great, Billy. Okay, everybody, get what are these?
But mixed results couldn't prevent Game of Death from being an enormous financial success. On the strength of 5 films, Bruce Lee had forever redefined the action movie genre and opened the doors for martial arts superstars like Jackie Chan, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Just about everybody now who does action resorts to some form of karate or kickboxing or something like that.
But of all the actors who dared fill
think about like all the superhero movies nowadays, or for the last like 20 years, you gotta know some kind of martial arts.
Fallen stars' footprints.
Oh, that's such a cool scene with the mirrors.
With the greatest chance seemed to be Bruce's only son, Brandon.
I have a weird question to me when people ask me about, following in my father's footsteps. Because if by that you mean doing really excellent films and doing the kind of work that my father did, doing that quality of work, that level of work, absolutely, absolutely that's what I want to do. But if you mean trying to imitate him in some way, trying to be a poor man's Bruce Lee, not at all.
Yep. I respect that a lot.
started learning martial arts with my dad right about the time I could walk. And we moved from Hong Kong to Los Angeles a lot when I was growing up as we were following my father's career in. And the thing is, I always think to myself, no matter what happens to me in my career, it's probably never going to get as weird as it already was.
Having made a name for himself in a small number of modestly successful films, the young actor seemed poised on the brink of superstardom.
I think I saw him first in, what was the movie called? With Keanu Reeves and, damn it, Point Blank, I think. I think the name of the movie is Point Blank.
As the title character in the supernatural thriller, The Crow.
Yeah.
But on March 31st, 1993, nearly 20 years after his father's
untimely death. By the way, one of the best soundtracks ever. I owned a soundtrack.
Death. Brandon Lee was accidentally killed on the set by the misfiring of an unchecked prop gun. And like Game of Death, The Crow was completed with the aid of body doubles and special effects. Unfortunately, the bizarre circumstances surrounding Brandon Lee's death did little to quell the ever-growing myths about a mysterious curse.
I mean, can you imagine Bruce himself? He dies from a pill that was given to treat a headache. Then his son, Brandon, while he's making movies, in his biggest movie ever, gets shot by a prop gun that had a real bullet in it. The hell? You see, I'm not too big into conspiracy theories, but what happened to Brandon? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll never know, too.
With Brandon's death, there was a resurgence of the rumors about Bruce's death. There was a rehashing of them in the public again. And there was an attempt to connect the deaths of Bruce and Brandon. And really, that's a great disservice and a great tragedy, trying to connect it up with curses and falsehoods and rumors is not right.
The irony, though, I feel what Linda's saying. I do. The irony, though, is the male Lees were killed. The women weren't killed. She wasn't killed, and their daughter wasn't killed. Could it just be an irony? Life is pretty wild, man. It's possible, but you can't blame us for wondering.
Brandon's death was the result of the most unfortunate and unlikely, freakish chain of events than that could ever be imagined. In a way, I'm glad that Bruce was not here to see this happen to Brandon, because it would have hurt him so badly, as it has all of us.
Could you imagine, losing a son in that way? He was just shooting a movie, and then, man. You know what I hate is I've watched The Crow so many times, and there's so many scenes where he's getting shot at, and he's just absorbing the bullets. And I can't help every time I watch it to go, was that the scene? Was that the scene? Like, that one looked pretty realistic. Was that it? You know? When did it happen?
To millions around the world, the name Bruce Lee looms larger than ever. Magazines continue to print articles about him. Fan clubs are devoted to him. And his martial arts philosophy continues to attract a growing number of devoted followers.
One of the most amazing things from my perspective on Bruce Lee was that a man of 32 years of age could be so prolific. He created a new film genre, he created a self-help philosophy, which is absolutely brilliant, and he created a new martial art, which people have been carrying on since his passing. So the important thing about Bruce Lee is not how he died or that he died, it's that he lived.
To me, he's
and
still alive.
I'll speak for myself here. He also bridged a gap between Chinese people. How about this? He made it so for the first time, Chinese people were starting to become accepted in America. He did that, okay? And I'll shout out to all the other Chinese Americans out there who stuck your head down, you worked hard, you stayed out of trouble, you did what you had to do. But we also needed a guy like Bruce Lee to make it like so you didn't have to keep your head down all the time. So shout out to everybody from that generation. It was before my time. And I still experienced the lingering effects that were going on. But they would have been way worse if it wasn't for Bruce Lee. You know, I didn't mind being called Bruce Lee and all that stuff. You know, oh, you know, Kung Fu and all, you know, all these comments, whatever. I didn't mind it because it could have been a lot worse, you know. And don't get it wrong, I've been called every name in the book when it comes to a racial slur. But it could have been worse, is what I'm saying. So I know it's easy to play victim, but I'm actually grateful it wasn't worse, because it very much could have been worse. So yes, I'm leaving this being grateful. Thank you, Bruce Lee.
His spirit's still there, and we still train in his art.
He's probably the best friend you can have. He's very loyal. He once told me that if somebody is trying to attack you, I'll take them on.
Yeah.
That's a friend.
That was my role, too. I was never afraid. Because like I told you guys earlier, I used to get my ass kicked by that same guy. And then I have an older brother, too, who was making me tough at home. So I wasn't afraid of getting hit. I wasn't afraid of losing or getting beat up. So I would be that guy helping my other friends who were being bullied as well.
With which Bruce lived his life, what he believed to be right.
The irony is I only lost one fight, and that was to that same dude over and over and over again. Nobody else did a shot. It's kind of like he was my bad boy Pistons, if that makes any sense. Like nobody else could touch me.
The integrity with which Bruce lived his life, what he believed to be right, that is a clear example of the way it should be done. I remember he said, all right, if I'm gone for any reason, don't get hooked up with all these people that they're going to be giving me parades. If they're giving me parades, something's wrong.
He was definitely somebody to look up to and something to aspire to. He had such a passion for life. I strive to have as much passion.
If I could rewind time and do it all over again, I would have asked so many more questions and learned so much more.
He certainly left a gift for the rest of us, a path to follow, footsteps to follow, so that we can start in a direction and then find our own way, which was his lesson.
Be formless, shapeless, like water. Be water, my friend.
You just did my outro, Mr. Lee. Damn. What a well-made documentary. Now I just hope it doesn't get blocked. Wow. I gotta tell you the truth. Hopefully y'all are there with me right now. If you are, you're crazy, and I appreciate you, because I have no idea how long this is at this point. It's got to be like an hour and a half. But first of all, thank you if you are. Second of all, I really hope this gets out there, because if it doesn't, I mean, worst case scenario, I wanted to watch this anyways. And I guess talking through it is kind of therapeutic. But it would be cool if this does get out there, because I know a lot of you have asked. You guys are curious about me, curious about my life, and yeah, this doesn't tell you everything, but this will give you a little more insight to what made Little Mindcrime's engine go, especially at a young age, and why I'm still the way I am to this day. Anyways, you guys, not much else to say here. I think I've said a lot. And I apologize if I talk too much during this, but y'all know what was going to happen if I was reacting to this. So I think you knew what you were signing up for when you clicked on this video. Anyways, anybody who made it to the end, shoot it in the comments. Let me know you made it to the end. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are real ones. And I appreciate you all. Guys, we continue the journey tomorrow. Until then, like the vid, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. But most importantly, you heard what Bruce said. Be water, my friends.